What you see here is a portrait of Sarah Elizabeth Miller. She was born into slavery in Virginia, but escaped thanks to the Underground Railroad. In 1856, in Kansas, abolitionists and pro-slavery conservatives fought in a battle now known as the Battle of Ossawa Tanner. Sarah Elizabeth Miller was now in Pittsburgh, and she married Benjamin Tucker Tanner, a bishop in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Together in 1859, they had their first son and named him Henry Ossawa Tanner, his middle name being an homage to the fallen abolitionists of the Battle of Ossawa Tanner. 5 years after his birth, slavery was abolished in the United States. This is the story of Henry Ossawa Tanner, the first African-American artist to have gained international fame. It's in Philadelphia that the young Tanner would develop his passion for painting. At the age of 21, he was accepted at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts and found himself to be the only black student at the prestigious school. As you may expect, being a black American during the 19th century came with a lot of struggle, no matter where you were in America. Tanner was once found tied to an easel in the middle of a street in Philadelphia, his place amongst some of the most talented artists of the United States wasn't recognized by everyone. In a very famous passage in his autobiography, he wrote, "I was extremely timid, and to be made to feel that I was not wanted, although in a place where I had every right to be, even months afterwards caused me sometimes weeks of pain. Every time any one of these disagreeable incidents came into my mind, my heart sank, and I was anew tortured by the thought of what I had endured, almost as much as the incident itself." But his experience at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts was positive in some other respects. He found a mentor in the figure of Thomas Eakins. Eakins had great respect for Tanner, proven by the fact that he made a portrait of him in 1900, a gesture that would have been a tremendous honor for Tanner. But Eakins could have made this portrait because Henry Ossawa Tanner was now internationally known. In fact, after leaving for Europe in 1891, Tanner now lived in Paris and would make it his home for the rest of his life. The reason for this drastic change could have been because Paris was, at the time, the cultural capital of the Western world, but also because Tanner would be subject to less racism in Paris, frequenting the progressive avant-garde of the time. In any case, Tanner was successful in Paris. His religious art was exhibited and even awarded at the Paris Salon, and this success led him to paint mainly religious scenes in 1895 and onward. But if I'm completely honest, the religious paintings or even the landscapes of Henry Ossawa Tanner don't interest me that much. His rare genre paintings depicting African Americans, on the other hand, are extremely interesting because they're a glimpse of the 19th century black experience in America. I want to focus on this painting in particular, the Banjo Lesson made in 1893. It's perhaps his most famous work, and it's not really hard to understand why. But before delving into this painting, we must first look at the shameful history of minstrel shows.
As I grind to Louisiana, my true love for to see. Oh, it rained so hard the day I left, the weather it was dry. The sun so hot I froze to death. Susanna, don't you cry. Oh.
Minstrel shows were a 19th and 20th century American form of entertainment depicting black people in a very stereotypical and dehumanizing manner. These depictions would very often be made by white people with the now infamous blackface. Black characters would be portrayed as lazy, buffoons, happy-go-lucky types. These depictions would be used to make white American audiences laugh at the expense of black people, dehumanizing them and solidifying racist stereotypes.
Well, tell me, how would you like to go to work for me?
Yes, ma'am.
how much you gonna pay me, I hope?
Well, let's see now. I'll pay you all your worth.
No, ma'am, I gotta have some money.
You know, Cotton,
The banjo, which derived from earlier African instruments, was heavily influential in the development of African American culture. Minstrel shows, by using the banjo to mock black people, popularized the instrument all throughout the country. With that in mind, we can look at this painting as a radically thoughtful, caring, and humanistic depiction of black people. It's a powerful moment between what we assume to be a grandfather and his grandson. The lighting dramatically frames the subjects as if they were under a spotlight, calmly playing the banjo. Both figures are solemnly looking down at the instrument, the elder to pass down his knowledge, the kid to learn it. Their concentration seems to freeze time. It seems to isolate them as they're both focused together on the same task. It's a beautiful picture of the passing of time, of transmission from a generation to the next, and these themes are even more powerful because of the situation in which these characters are. The passing of time could symbolize hope for these two distinct black generations. One, we can assume, lived the terrible oppression of slavery, but the other, we can hope, will live freely. There's hope that the kid in this painting will live a more decent life than his grandfather did. There's hope that this kid will be able to be self-actualized. Education would be a way for this kid to live freely, and, as it is shown by this painting, education starts here with a banjo lesson. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing if you have already. And I'd like to thank especially You Design I Write, Kohler, and every other patron for supporting me. If you also want to support this channel and get this 6x9 postcard print, check out patreon.com/thecanvas.